Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Landy Lodge, where today is episode 126 of the podcast. We're talking about the candidates for Quadratum. I'm going to get much more into that in just a few minutes. Just a few things. One, I do apologize for the delay. I know we were originally supposed to start at 5:30, but the lady of the lodge had to work a little late, and to avoid leaving our beautiful baby dog Kobe alone, I figured I'd wait till she was on her way home before launching this podcast. But with that said, today's episode would not be possible without the awesome sages of the lodge, those who are as generous to give as little as 1 gil a month to the Landy Lodge to keep my nonsense going. So without further ado, major love and shout outs to Charlotte, Alex, Chris, Maria, Shane, David, Scott, Jillian, Corey, Twilight Blaze, Nick, Kevin, AJ, Michael, Andrew, Brendan, Gaseous Snake, Mookie DTRT90, Orpheus Joshua, Jordan Krupka, Corey Sarakis, Axel Vega, DJ Ghoul, Brady, Jack 2 Park, and Cosmic Hangman. Huge list of legends, couldn't do it without them. But without further ado, let's talk a little bit about, why I wanted to do this episode, the kind of things I've had rolling through my mind. I see we got a lot of you who are showing up in the chat already. Thank you so much for dropping in here. I see we got a number of sages just like DJ Ghoul up in here. So, listen guys, thanks for coming out. The reason I've been thinking this is because ever since I saw Strelitzia in that trailer, it's opened so many doors for the different types of characters that can now be in Quadratum. Because seeing as it's a world of fiction, and we saw Yuzora, which is a tip of the cap to Final Fantasy, everyone immediately started figuring, the Final Fantasy characters could easily be in this world. And everything with the See You in Shibuya stuff with Neku, everyone could say, hey, we can expect to see the World Ends With You characters here in Quadratum just because of the parallels with Shibuya. However, once we saw Strelitzia, it completely blew the door open, and now characters that have died can be in Quadratum. So I've got a number of different candidates. We'll talk more at the end of the podcast. You guys let me know if there's anyone you think is a candidate for Quadratum. But without further ado, I say we get into it. Let's start with the first two that normally come to people's minds. So Cloud and Sephiroth is, I guess, once we saw this Kingdom Hearts 3 secret movie and that he was in Quadratum, the two characters people brought up the most were Neku and Cloud. Now, for those who may not be familiar, when you beat Sephiroth, who's the secret boss in Kingdom Hearts 2, there's a sort of ending cutscene where Cloud and Sephiroth kind of leap into the air to continue their fight and then sort of vanish in a type of way. Pretty similar to the way that Sora vanished at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. A little peculiar. Not exactly the same, but there did seem to be a type of fading or vanish. You'll see it in the B-roll when we get up to that point. But I believe it's Sora, Donald, and Goofy kind of asked Tifa, where did they go? Where could they have gone? And Tifa says something along the lines of, they went off to another world to finish a great battle. So, look, I was disappointed that there wasn't a Sephiroth fight in Kingdom Hearts 3, but seeing as we had one in 1 and 2, and seeing the fan base want it back, I'm inclined to believe that we're gonna get the Sephiroth secret boss battles back. Now, we've already seen the sort of clashes with Final Fantasy in Quadratum, everything with Yuzora, and the Versus 13, Nameless Star, and Stella from Versus 13. It's very possible that this world also becomes a medium for Final Fantasy characters to play a part. Another way that this could work, it's something we've discussed on the podcast before. Wreck-It Ralph is a very important world in the Union Cross story. And it's very apparent that Wreck-It Ralph is going to be in the future of Kingdom Hearts. I actually also think that Vanellope von Schweetz is going to be a Princess of Heart. But with that said, in Wreck-It Ralph, there's Game Central Station, which is basically it's a giant, train platform where every different train tunnel leads to a different game in the arcade. It's very possible that characters like Cloud and Sephiroth can clash again in the future of Kingdom Hearts. And seeing as we're going to Quadratum, which, as we all know, is Latin for square, the idea that Square Enix characters are going to be running around this world is not the craziest claim that you could make. Again, I would just reiterate, when it comes to Cloud and Sephiroth, we saw with Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind that Nomura and Creative Business Unit 1 really took the fan feedback seriously. A lot of people's gripes with Kingdom Hearts 3 were addressed in the Remind update and the updates surrounding it. And you could even say so for a lot of the story beats and melody and memory, with making Kairi more at the forefront and more important. Anyway, and even with the recent interview where Nomura told us that because of the fan popularity of Roxas and Xion, he found a way to write them into the future of the story and create a new scenario by which they could survive. So my overall point with bringing all this stuff up is, you know, Square Enix, Creative Business Unit 1, Nomura, and the crew have shown that they take fan feedback very seriously. And again, one of the major things we saw is people missed not only the Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts 3, but we missed this Sephiroth secret boss battle. Now, don't get me wrong, I prefer the Yozora fight. I think the Yozora fight is the best fight in the series. But it would have been awesome to have the Sephiroth battle too. And, you know, seeing everything that's going on with Remake, and the fact that the Remake series is going to be running alongside the Lost Masters arc with Kingdom Hearts, I think they have every reason in the world to include Cloud and Sephiroth in the future of Kingdom Hearts. Not just because of the fan demand and their ability to listen to feedback, but also because with this running alongside Remake, they have everything to gain to sort of rope everybody in here. Okay. Let me address the chat here. We got Axel Vega, Sage of the Lodge, who says, I mean, Sephiroth does have the X brand on his outfit. Like the other warriors in Kingdom Hearts, it could be a connection. I mean, you know, it would be kind of cool. Wouldn't you guys think it would be cool? You know how the Master is looking for vessels for darkness? Wouldn't it be cool if it wasn't just original characters that were vessels? Like maybe he wants Hades to be a vessel, right? And maybe like Axel's kind of alluding at here, maybe Sephiroth could be a vessel. I don't know. That would be cool. If they keep it to original characters, I'm cool too, but I just think that would be a cool way to kind of rope in everybody else here. That Cloud and Sephiroth were in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yeah, I like that theory too, that they went off to have their fight in Smash Brothers. Honestly, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm a wacko, but if Square Enix found a way to make Smash Brothers canon by way of Kingdom Hearts lore, I would kind of be all for it. All right, within Ven 09 says this is so true. They listen to the fans a ton when it comes to feedback. Exactly. And again, seeing as Sephiroth was such a highly requested character, I'm inclined to believe that they're gonna find some way to bring him back as a secret boss. If not in the next game, then maybe the games that follow. Now, the odds that Cloud and Sephiroth end up in Quadratum, I don't know. Because one thing we have to consider, this also goes into the recent interview that came out. Nomura did mention that we're going to be in Quadratum for the first portion of the game. And I imagine we'll probably come back during the endgame and stuff like that. But it doesn't sound like we're going to spend all our time in Quadratum. So if these characters do come back in the future, it doesn't have to be by way of Quadratum. But with the whole allegory to Square thing, it just seems like a perfect fit. Xylat51 on Twitch says Quad can also be for 4, which symbolizes death. Yes, those familiar with our rule of 4 theory. No, I think 4 is going to be a big... Kingdom Hearts loves to play with its numbers, and I think 4 is going to join the likes of 3, 7, 13. But without further ado, let's move on to our next candidates, who I believe are actually the World Ends With You crowd. Be it Neku, Joshua, Beat, Rhyme, Rindo, Shoka, Nagi, Fret, like all of them. I think it's actually more likely than Cloud and Sephiroth. I think Neku and the gang are, given with The World Ends With You. Anyway, no, they won't be in Kingdom Hearts 4. We'll see. I'll say this. One of the things that's going against The World Ends With You characters popping up is Nomura has been pretty adamant about that the sky, the similarity with the sky on the box art is nothing but coincidence, that the Shibuya that Sora ends up in by way of Quadratum is very different from the Shibuya that The World Ends With You gang is from. John Van Ness says, not World Ends With You gang, Nomura said so in an interview. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you gotta understand that they might just be doing that either to mislead or not give it away. However, we can take him at his word here and there. However, I do think it's very possible, because I don't think there's any coincidence with the last thing Neku says to Sora is, see you in Shibuya. And on top of that, Sora ends up repeating a lot of the things that he learns from Joshua in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. So there is this sort of implication that they're going to be important. But I don't know. Whether they come back in Quadratum, I'm not sure. But I do think you're going to see the World Ends With You characters make a return. I do think that's something that you're going to see in the future. Whether or not it comes by way of Kingdom Hearts 4, I don't know. But you can't ignore a lot of the overlap. You can't ignore a lot of the overlap with the 104 building. You can't ignore the overlap with the Similar Skies. You can't ignore the overlap with, a lot of the World Ends With You, especially for people who may have played Neo, a lot of the World Ends With You lore is very compatible with Kingdom Hearts. Like, to a pretty wild degree. I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw these two. DJ Ghoul said, didn't he say it wasn't the same Shibuya? Not that a version of them definitely wouldn't show up. Exactly, DJ. That's the wave I'm on. Even though he said it's not the same Shibuya, that doesn't mean the World Ends With You characters won't be there either. You know what I mean? Because again, for those who may be familiar with World Ends With You, when you die, you go to the UG, which is like, it's Shibuya, but it's not Shibuya. Sora, and Shirlizia, for all intents and purposes, did die, and they ended up in this city. So, even if this Quadratum is not the same as Shibuya, which we have every reason to believe that it's not, it seems as though this idea of death and rebirth kind of applies to both Quadratum and the Shibuya UG. I'm not saying it's for certain, but they're definitely candidates that are worth looking out for. And again, I would just reiterate how compatible the World Ends With You lore is with Kingdom Hearts. Axel Vega says, a new game, not a Reaper's game, but a Lich game. Yeah, I don't know how many of you remember the whole Lich segment from Kingdom Hearts 3, where after Sora does the whole change fate thing, which, by the way, changing fate is a big part of the World Ends With You, but again, another conversation for another day, I suppose. But, when Sora's in the middle of changing fate and he's following the Lich further and further down and deeper into the darkness, I would like to see the Lich become like a really important part of Kingdom Hearts, right? Because I like the idea that Sora's the only one who knows who the Lich is. So can you imagine you're in a gameplay segment, right? Let's say we're playing as Aqua or we're playing as Kairi, and we're in the realm of darkness, or we're in a dreamscape of sorts, and you see the Lich start to lead them further and further down, and you can, I always like those moments where the player is more cued in than the characters, because the characters would just kind of be blindly pursuing the Lich, where you, the player, are forced to do it, but you know it's a bad idea. But anyway, tangent aside, getting back to the World Ends With You characters, this is definitely a brand that Square Enix is investing in. I mean, we did just see Square Enix they sold off all of their Western properties. Which to me, that tells me they've gotta be doubling down on their, I guess what you call their homegrown properties, like The World Ends With You. And seeing as Kingdom Hearts is such a big, because let's be honest, people like me got into The World Ends With You because it appeared in Kingdom Hearts. And I think Kingdom Hearts so generously has built a world where you can do that and it's not campy, and it's not cheesy, and it's not cheap. You're not just doing it for marketing purposes. These characters genuinely can interact and do have similar experiences and similar laws their worlds abide by. But I guess that's all I'll say for The World Ends With You gang, but could definitely happen. Xylath, this comment goes a little over my head, but I'll share it for those who might be clued in. Xylath says they could do a Lich closer to Azrael or Malak al-Maut, which serves as a similar purpose in Abrahamic religions. I don't know anything about that topic, so I will definitely take your word for that. But I will say I do always love when games, especially RPGs, take influence from mythology and from religions. So anything that goes down that road is definitely compatible with me. But now we got to talk about the Dark Road gang. John Van East, we're gonna get to El Reina and Lorium. We're definitely gonna get to El Reina and Lorium. I don't think they're in Quadratum, but there's definitely a chance they are in Quadratum. But right now, we gotta talk about the Dark Road gang. Which, by the way, I cannot wait for Dark Road to come out. August is not very far away. I'm excited for it. I think what I'm gonna do a watch party on the channel. We'll rewatch all the Dark Road cutscenes right before the new cutscenes come out. Because I think there's some really cool stuff in Dark Road. It's a bit of a shame that the game sort of flopped as far as maintaining a player base or transitioning that Union Cross player base into Dark Road. But I think they were getting at some cool things. I think Xehanort is a really, really interesting character. He's one of my favorite villains in all of gaming. And the more we explore him, the cooler and cooler he becomes. I've always said one of the things I love so much about the character, his impact ripples both backwards and forwards. But listen, anyone who's seen the first few scenes of Dark Road, we know that Xehanort's going to lose some people. Like, how many of these people he loses, I don't know. Maybe Odin survives. We know Ericus survives. But how many other of these characters survive, I don't know. But it's very, very, very heavily implied that Xehanort's going to lose a lot of people very close to him on this part of his journey. We'll get into it later, but Xehanort is also a candidate for Quadratum. We'll get into that. I think particularly young Xehanort. But this whole idea that when you die, this is a possible world you could be transitioned to or moved to, it opens up everything for all these characters here. You know? Because again, I think most of who we're looking at on the screen right now is gonna die. Or, you know, by Ericus and Xehanort, everybody else will probably fall by the wayside. But I gotta be honest. I think there's a stronger possibility to this than we realize. Because I think what Kingdom Hearts is trying to do is they're trying to connect all their different eras. They're trying to connect the Key Saga to the modern day Lost Masters arc, right? And I think that's a lot of what Missing Link is going to be about. And I think we're going to see some of these characters running around Quadratum. Whether we see Ericus. Ericus is a character who I think the only time we ever see Ericus again is going to be when he's conversing with Terra through some internal monologue or something like that. A Light Within Vin says, yeah, that was hinted at in A Dark Road Episode 1. Yeah. You know, there are a lot of things I see in Dark Road that look like hints to future events, but we know so little that I kind of temper myself because I'm not sure how much of that I'm just projecting what I want to see as opposed to kind of taking it as it is. But I'll tell you, I think it would be pretty cool to see Odin. I think it would be kind of cool to see Odin make his way to Quadratum. But again, seeing as this serves as an afterlife and your mic volume is really quiet, you have a lot of static, not sure what's going on. Does anybody else share that sentiment? Let me see. How's this sound? I think this should be okay. How are we sounding now? Everybody, Umbra included. And you guys let me know. I don't know. Was I too quiet for most of this? I know I'm a loud guy, so I keep my mic pretty low. Oh yeah, shit, Umbra's right. There is static. Oh, hold on. Let me listen to this back. Hang tight with us, everybody, while we handle this technical difficulty. Interesting. Static still. Sound is better. It was quiet, but the sound was clear. Static still there. Interesting. There's background fan noise, which is interesting because we don't have anything on. There's no fan on or anything. I think the mirror did something to Xehanort's hair. That would be funny. But how are we doing now, guys? Sounds okay? I'm gonna hope so, that's for sure. Let me turn the output is off. Okay, let me listen to myself back here. Ooh, okay, I hear it. I think I know how to fix this. Okay, buddy, hang tight. I'm just basically gonna reset my Okay, it looks like there's a little bit of static now, but does it sound better than it used to? And then we'll keep this rolling. Nah, still a lot of brown noise. Static is louder. No static here, says Jan Van S. The mirror did something to your audio quality. God damn. Volume is good for me, but there is some static. Yes, static background is still, but you are coming in clear and loud enough to me. Yes, still there. You personally sound better, though. Is it that disruptive? Like, let me ask you guys. You guys let me know, because if it's that disruptive, I'll work at fixing it real quick. But if you think we can keep rolling with it as it is, then we'll keep it going. I do apologize for that. I think I need to replace my my microphone. Slight bit of static, otherwise good. I guess not. It's better now. No, I'm not sure what no means. It's a little too broad. But you guys let me know if it's otherwise good, and I can keep us rolling with however it is. All right. So anyway, don't mind. Okay, cool. You guys let me know. You guys, we'll have a nice little back and forth here. If something's a little too much, I can work at fixing it. But anyway, that's really all I'm going to say about the Dark Road characters. I think just because we're going to see a lot of them pass on or die, I think all the more reason we can expect to see them in the future. Let's move on to our next. We'll just pretend the static is the ocean waves from the dearly beloved variants. There we go. There we go. So my next prediction is actually young Xehanort himself. It's not bad at all. Thank you, Trousers. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's not static, it's virtual ocean waves. So there we go. A little bit of imagination goes a long way. I'll have to edit the audio in the beginning and bump it up a little bit, but we should be alright. But anyway, I'm not gonna lie, I could be so wrong about this. But I really think we're gonna see young Xehanort again. Like, there are two characters who have gotten the most attention since Kingdom Hearts 3. Other than Sora, right? Because the series primarily focuses on Sora. So, other than Sora, there are two characters that have gotten more attention than anybody else. And that's Kairi and young Xehanort. And seeing as Xehanort was in Remind, Xehanort was in Melody of Memory, Xehanort was in the Union Cross finale, and we have Dark Road going on, they're setting him up for a return and a real redemption. Because I fully believe, and I do plan to put a video out about it one day, I fully believe you're crazy if you think Xehanort was redeemed at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. You're crazy if you think he was redeemed. Like, the only person who forgave him was Ericus, and I think Xehanort for himself doesn't like that he was a pawn of the Master of Masters. So, he's not going to have some kind of full-blown change of heart and want to do good. I think he's going to be very upset that he was essentially a pawn for the Master of Masters, and out of a sense of pride, is going to want to assist in stopping his plans in some way. But anyway, going back to young Xehanort himself, I can't emphasize enough that he's gotten so much attention. And I have to believe they're setting him up for something. DJ Ghoul says, I think we definitely can see him again. Kingdom Hearts 3 was some big plot development for him in addition to the mobile games. Yeah! Big development. Like, you could argue, depending how this Dark Road finale goes, you could argue we're learning more about him now than we ever did. Like, seeing the whole connection with Apprentice Xehanort and Kairi in Melody of Memory, I don't know. It can open up a lot of doors. Alright with Inven says, the fact he was talking to Master of Masters is a big thing also, and I agree with you totally on this. Yeah, like, he's a key factor in the Master's plans, and that cannot be understated. Let's see what else we got here. What if Xehanort's memory inside of Kairi watches the Master of Masters' plan unfold through Kairi's eyes, and he uses that as a waypoint for his return via the power of waking and time travel? Interesting. That could technically work, but I have to wonder, right? And this is something else that intrigues me about young Xehanort and his ability to maybe use a waypoint in the future. When he passed on and when he died, did the player reincarnate again? You know what I'm trying to say? Because like when the player died, his heart kind of reincarnated into Xehanort's, and now when Xehanort passed on, did that heart go somewhere else? That's what I'm really curious about. We will see Riku in Quadratum, even though he didn't die. Yeah, Riku I think is a surefire shot. I think we can count on seeing Riku in Quadratum. John Van S says, I want to know who the Master of Masters is and what is in the box. That is so important. We're gonna get into that later. In fact, that's actually the next segment. We'll get into that soon. Master of Masters is in Quadratum without being dead, presumably, so Riku should be able to get there too. Yeah, I think you can get to Quadratum without dying. But I also think it's very possible there are 2 Quadratums. Because that would be a very Kingdom Hearts thing to do. What if he is also using Sora as a waypoint? He did give the Keyblade to him. Xehanort would not do that for no reason. I think Xehanort genuinely gave Sora the Keyblade because he believed that Sora was the only hope for the future. Like, he had been beaten, he had been cornered, there was no way he was getting out of that. I think he passed it on to Sora as a matter of, like, honestly as a matter of respect. But I don't even think Sora has the Keyblade anymore. I think he sealed up Kingdom Hearts, and after sealing up Kingdom Hearts, I believe that Keyblade more than likely dissolved. Think there might be a connection between Xehanort and Siegert? Their voice actors sound very similar in Japanese. I think it's very possible they knew each other. I think that at a base level is possible. But anyway, not only do I think young Xehanort returns, I do think it's possible we see him in Quadratum. But that's gonna move us into our next candidate, who I'm very excited to talk about. We gotta talk about Ava. We have got to talk about Ava. I am, in so many ways, excited to see what they do with Ava. Second, just gotta fix a little something here. But, I think it's very possible she's in Quadratum. I think this is a very possible thing. So, if you guys can remember the scene in back cover, it'll be in the B-roll here, but that whole scene where she's talking to the dandelions she's gathered, and she's talking to them and saying, like, you know, we are the last lights of hope, and she talks about a world of dreams, and that they might be headed to a world of dreams. Now, we don't really know what unreality is yet. It's very possible it could be a type of dreamscape. But I keep having to wonder, where did the Master send Ava and the dandelions? Because you gotta remember, it's not just Ava that's missing. It's all of the dandelions, and not the dandelions necessarily from Union Cross, but let's just call them the Normie dandelions. You know, and again, we'll see the scene in the B-roll, but the Normie dandelions, where did she and all of them go? Like, we're kind of running out of places. You know what I mean? They didn't show up in Kingdom Hearts 3. They didn't show up in Remind. They didn't show up in Melody and Memory. I'm not sure they're on our side of reality. Like, we know from Union Cross that the Master found out about unreality, and the Master found out about the world of fiction. Maybe that's where he sent Ava and those dandelions. Does that make us the sicko dandelions? No. No. That makes you the sicko landelions. Anyway. Kyrie's grandma knows too much of the Hearts of Children story to baby Kyrie. Yeah, that's one of the things that's always tipped me off too. Is that Kyrie's grandma knowing that much and her being important from that town. Data Daybreak Town. Exactly, DJ. Exactly. The landelions are dead. I know. I considered doing that. Instead of doing the Sages of the Lodge, I did think of doing the Landelions, but that was too much. Anyway, getting back to the topic at hand here. I feel like in so many ways, Ava is the Master's trump card. Like, I think he's anticipated a lot of what Ava was gonna feel and a lot of what Ava was gonna think. I mean, we see it in the Case of Ava scene. He speaks to Ava much differently than he speaks to the other foretellers. But here's the scene right here for those who are watching the video playback. These Normie dandelions, like, where did they all go? I'm not missing something, right? Because they weren't in the Union Cross finale. They weren't in Kingdom Hearts 3. They're not in Dark Road. They weren't in Remind. They're not in Melody of Memory. We're coming up short on where they could be hiding out. And we were talking about the black box earlier. Sometimes I wonder if Ava and these dandelions are in the black box. So they went away. Even though they probably retconned it, the Unchained Realm might have been unreality. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they bring that up again and how that sort of plays into each other. But I've been considering lately that maybe Ava and the dandelions are in the black box. Maybe Quadratum itself is in the black box. Although, and this is a little bit off topic, but another thing I've been considering is maybe the black box is empty and opening it is about sealing something inside. I feel like we too often, everyone's kind of jumping to the conclusion that the black box is gonna unleash something. You open it and something comes out. But what if it's the contrary? What if you open the box and it's more of a capture, it's more of a sealing type of deal. But anyway, getting back to Ava here, and considering that the Master speaks to her much differently than he speaks to everybody else, I'm inclined to believe that they're basically up to some shenanigans with them right here. The thing I would rebuttal against the idea they're in Quadratum is wouldn't Sterlitzia have found out, and maybe Sterlitzia does know, right? But it'll be interesting to see that. If Sterlitzia doesn't have any clue that they're around, then Ava's probably not in Quadratum. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with this character. They really haven't given us much as to guess where she is or where she went, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Just a Waffle says, alright, let's see who and where Ava can be in any possible way. Ava as Kairi's grandma, I think that's very possible. Ava as the nameless star, I don't think so at all. Ava as Kairi, no. Ava as the Lich, that would be crazy. That would be crazy and kind of heartbreaking. DJ Ghoul says, I'm still convinced that the Dandelion stayed in Data Scala / Data Daybreak Town, possibly inside the black box. Ah. Let me read that again. I'm still convinced that the Dandelion stayed in Data Scala / Data Daybreak Town, possibly inside the black box. Yeah, I think that's probably I actually think it's more likely they may be in there than in Quadratum. But the idea that it could be, that Data Daybreak Town could be in the black box is pretty trippy too. Umbra Munin says, if there is a parallel between Pandora's box and the box, which I think there is, then maybe Ava represents the darkness, the evil inside the box. Nomura said in an interview that she may not be as pure as she seemed, and she represents avarice. Yes, I did a video so long ago, The Sins of the Foretellers, talking about Ava's greed. Ava, I think her heart's in the right place. But she is a little greedy. You know what I mean? Luxu kind of lays out to her what the Master's plan is, and as far as we know, Luxu is telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? And Ava outright rejected it. She didn't reject it as, oh, I reject the Master's plan. She was so in her own head about it that she was like, the Master would never say that. The Master would never do that. Couldn't have been more wrong. But let's get into more chats here. The Black Box is like Brainiac from DC Comics. Bottled City, so Black Box is where Ava and the rest of the Landelions are. Yeah, I think it's possible that, DJ brought it up earlier, that all of Data Daybreak Town could be in there. You know what I'm saying? All of it could be in there. Luxu may not be as bad as we think. I think it's possible. I think he's more gray. I don't think Luxu's gonna be good, but I think he's a lot more gray than we give credit for. Again, guys, just reassure me. Let me know that the sound is okay, by the way. Let's see. Axel Vega says, Ava being greedy translates directly to the Lich keeping hearts. She always had a goal to find the brightest hearts. Whoa! Ho, 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 ho. Now we're talking! I mean, that's a whole other theory. I don't know. I don't know if Ava could be the Lich, but that would be a cool piece of lore, man. John Van S says, I'm having so much fun here. Jan, this is why I do it. It's a blast. The sound is much better. Okay. That's good to know. I apologize for the first part of the show having some rocky sound, but I'm glad we're doing better now. Even after death, the life goal remains. Committed. Committed. Remember to stay hydrated. That's a rule around here. We take that seriously. Yo, what up, Jashish? What up, my dude? Alright, so we've been through a lot of different candidates. I've got a couple left. One that a couple that I both think are very possible. Let's start with the man, the myth, the legend. Wait for it. Wait for it. Okay, it's taking too long. I thought the B-roll would get there sooner. But anyway, Siegert, baby. There he is. Siegert. I honestly think this is going to be the new sicko of the frickin' series, man. I think Siegert the sicko, dude. I think he's going to be one of the 4D chess playing characters. Seriously. The fact that he was the guy here to welcome Brain upon arrival. The fact that he's the narrator in the trailers. I will get to a little bit more of that in a minute, but there's an implication that he's not only going to be important for this part of the story, he's going to be important moving forward too. Umbra says, I legit think Siegert might be Magia. I would love it if Yazora's teammates are kind of littered around the lore. I think that would be really cool. I have so many questions on this guy. I think that's what makes him such a fun character. Wrong pipe! Wrong pipe! Oh! Okay. 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 My mistake there. But we're back. Jan is asking Magia. Yeah, Magia is one of Yazora's teammates. I believe Magia is the one who wears the sort of, the hat. Do you think Siegert has any connections to existing characters? I think so. I'm starting to think that Siegert might be like another Xigbar Lushu in the sense that he might be a character we already know. Siegert might be a character we already know. Now, I did a video on this, but it's worth noting that Siegert is based on a Norse myth. Siegert was like a really big folk hero in Norse mythology. So we have every reason to believe that he has the Guardian's best interests in mind. However, with that said, it is also noteworthy that Siegert gets betrayed, in that folk tale as well. Like, his undoing is he's betrayed by the one he loves. So that's gonna be a little bit interesting to keep track of, but I think it's very possible that we already know who Siegert is. I think he could be a pre-existing character. Who exactly? I don't know. I know some people toy with the idea of Luxord. I don't know how possible that is. But that doesn't exist. See what happens when you hydrate? Yeah, maybe we need to rethink that rule around here. But let's get to a little bit of the chats here. Let's get to a little bit of the chats. Axel says, I gotta get ready for something, but I hope you have a great stream, Landy. Super nice to see everyone. Axel, dude, always great seeing you jump in here. Thanks so much for being a Sage of the Lodge, by way of being a YouTube channel member. Everybody, please check out Axel Vega, man. He's a great creator in the community. He makes great music, great theories, big Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts buff. I think you guys would love him. Nomura said the voice is someone you know voice. Yeah. Umbra, I think, is onto it here. Says the fact that we got Siegert's voice in a Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer before Sora speaks or anybody else is wild. Even Master of Masters. Siegert might be the villain of Kingdom Hearts 4. That would be interesting. That would kind of turn the Norse myth on its head. But hey, creative freedom, right? Kind of like the Ansem or Xemnas of the game, not the main saga antagonist, but a part of a whole. See, I actually think it'd be more interesting if he was more of an anti-hero. You know, if he was either more self-motivated, or if he was motivated by good means but had questionable methods. I think that could be a cool way to take it. Hey, look, it's yeah. Jashish says, I love this idea, setting up Master of Masters and Foretellers to be the finale big bads, kind of like Kingdom Hearts 4 being the Kingdom Hearts 1. Yeah, I could see that. I think that's completely valid. I have a feeling Siegert is one who discovered how to travel to Quadratum. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of implied he's there. Like we see at the end of the trailer, right? And again, it'll come up in the B-roll. But we see at the end of the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer that there's another person standing there with the Master of Masters. What if that person's Siegert? You know? What if Siegert is working with the Master? You know what I'm saying? What if that's who's waiting at headquarters? You know? Wow. What if he's the darkness the Master of Masters fears his old friend has stayed in Union Cross? Hey! You never know. Umber says, perhaps Siegert's love gets body stolen and he blames Master of Masters and then some twist happens that leads to his eventual demise. I would love that. I think that's right on the money. Jan says, when Missing Link was shown, I was so convinced the player character was Luke's sword because of the way he looks like him. But then it was said it was just the player character who has no connection to them. Yeah, it's just like, I guess it's just like a standard player character. But I'm not gonna lie, guys, this game looks like a lot of fun. I'm gonna try and get into the beta test. I'm gonna stream this game. I think the story is going to be cool. I think it's possible that they could make a really fun mobile game. You know? I think it is possible. Plus, it would be a great way to flesh out some of these other plots. But yeah, I think Siegert is a character who's going to be full of surprises. Full of surprises, especially leading into the future. And it's like right there. You see him right there? Right there. And I froze it for a reason. I think that's him. I think that's him over on the left. Because who else has this stature? Who else is that tall? Who else is as tall as the Master? Who have we seen? Do you think Siegert has read a book of prophecies? Maybe. I'm gonna go with no. But maybe. What if Yozora, Magia, and Aegis, like Umbra said, were working with the Master? Master betrays them, they form an allegiance, and Master of Masters finally got Sora out of all of them to fall for his shit. And that is what Yozora is saving Sora from. That could work too. And again, guys, this is what's so cool about Kingdom Hearts is like, you could really go in all these different directions, and it's so compatible and so cool. What's going on, Iron Line? Might explain why he knew so much about when Brain would show up. Yes. Yes. And then it makes you wonder who's walking around. And we see in the Missing Link trailer that the Gazing Eye is in, Scala. So it's very possible. Might explain why he dislikes Master of Masters, because he knows he's responsible for the body snatchers or something. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. But let's move on to the man. I already said the man, the myth, the legend, but fucking Demix, guys. Pardon my French, but fucking Demix. Like, this is a character they gotta do something with. 'Cause he's fun, man. He's kinda freaking useless, but he's a lot of fun. And the whole, like, rock star thing, and the fact that, like, his weapon is an instrument. Can't you just see him rocking out in Quadratum? And he's gotta be from somewhere, right? He's gotta be from somewhere. Like, we know he's not from Union Cross. We're yet to see whether or not he's from Dark Road, but I don't think so. I don't think he fits the vibe. I think his vibe totally fits in Quadratum, right? Can't you imagine him in more urban, like city-style fashion? I don't know. He just oozes city hipster vibes at me. He just oozes city hipster vibes. I don't know. All I'm saying is I could see it. Nox says he must be familiar with the Book of Prophecies. How would he know about Brain showing up? He could be, that's the thing. It doesn't have to be him. He could be working with someone who's read a Book of Prophecies. Like maybe Ava. Like, it's very possible, I guess we'll come back to Demix, but it's very possible that this is where Ava went. Maybe this is where Ava and the Dandelions went. All we've seen is Brain, Siegert, and maybe Lushu, but maybe this is where Ava went. It's equally as possible. Alright, anyway. Back to Demix time. Trouser says, Demix, oh, you mean the Master of Masters. Let me tell you something. I'm always gonna have a lot of love in my heart for Lunar Lux for shooting that thing down right off the cusp. Siegert being one of... I don't know if Siegert will end up as one of Yozora's friends. I'm not sure about that. Let's see. Just a Waffle says, Demix, who boy? let's see. Everybody thinks Demix is the Prompto of 15. Demix is the Master of Masters, which nobody cares about him. So I've definitely seen that. I think Demix being a stand-in, Demix being Prompto's stand-in does kind of make sense. The vibe definitely fits. I guess the only thing I would combat that with, and I do like it, I think Sonny Novus does a great job of actually fleshing this idea out. But my one issue with it is like there's nothing really about Prompto that was like rock star-ish, right? It's clear Demix is like punk rock star, especially when you look at his weapon. So I'm not sure if that'll be quite true. Demix reminds me of that blonde guy from Neo, The World Ends With You. You know who, the new character? You talking about Rindude? Rindo? Yeah, I guess he looks a little like Rindo. Demix should not be the Master of Masters. He's not. There's no way. There's no way. Unless he's like, the only way it could work is if he was like a Master of Masters who gave himself amnesia. Oh no, I was just playing around off what Umber said. I don't think Siegert would be truly. I mean, you know, yes, but you never know, right? You never know. That's why they have Keyblades. Oh yeah. Which is funny, right? Because Xemnas addressed Luxord, Marluxia, Elrena, and Demix and said the ancient Keyblade legacy hidden within you. Right? So honestly, this might actually combat my Quadratum theory. Because it doesn't look like Keyblades are really a thing in Quadratum. So if they were, if Demix was to have an ancient Keyblade legacy within him, I think he might have to be from a Scala, as opposed to Quadratum, if that were to be the case. Not Rindu, the guy from the end of the game. You talking about Haz? You talking about Haz? Demix probably isn't, I don't think he can even read a book, let alone write one. Trousers, you're on the wave, my dude. You're 100% on the wave. Just the Waffle says, something about Demix when he's on a top secret message, very suspicious of him. He's a suspicious guy. I don't think he's as carefree as he lets on. I do not think Demix is as carefree as he lets on. I think he's got a lot more going on than he lets on. So I don't think for 1 second this character is as aloof or not as clued in as one might think. Okay. Jan says, I actually bought Final Fantasy 15 a few weeks ago. It's worthy of play. I really enjoyed Final Fantasy 15. Personally. Demix could be from the unwritten era Scala. That I would like. I think, again, and we're yet to see it with Luxord, and we're yet to see it with Demix, and we're yet to see it with Elrena. Let's remember that Xemnas looked at all four of them, Elrena, Laurium, I'm going to use their organization names, Marluxia, Larxene, Luxord, and Demix, and mentioned the ancient Keyblade legacy within them. Now, we saw that Laurium got his Keyblade, Marluxia got his Keyblade in the Union Cross time, but call me crazy, did we ever see Elrena get her Keyblade? I don't think she did. We haven't seen Luxord get his Keyblade, and we sure as shit haven't seen Demix get his Keyblade. And I'm wondering what's happened to the four of them that all four of them seem to have forgotten they ever wielded one. Very peculiar. Very peculiar. But I do think it is very, very possible that Demix could be from Quadratum. But given the whole Keyblade legacy thing, I think it's more likely he's from a Scala era, as Nox Flugel is saying, primarily the unwritten era of Scala. But yeah, I mean that covers most of the main candidates. I don't know if you guys have any other candidates, but the only ones I could also think of is maybe this is where Laurium and Elrena went back to. Like, I don't know quite where Elrena and Laurium are gonna go after being recompleted. Right? We don't know where they go. Maybe they go to Quadratum. Maybe that's where you go when you're recompleted. You know? Maybe all the organization members are there. You never know. Umbra says, if Ava is the leader of Siegert's organization, chat blew up. A group of the Dandelions from Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, maybe she's planning on betraying the Master of Masters, and thus she prevented any passage of the Master's Eye into the world, hence why it's covered or kind of off in the Missing Link trailer. Yes, That's something I would like too. And that's why Brain is there too, right? Because let's remember, Brain said he was going to be the virus in the Master System. So I have to imagine that in that era of Scala, a lot of shenanigans are going to go on. A lot of shenanigans. DJ Ghoul says, if Xemnas was right, I believe Luxord and Demix would have to be from Scala. Yeah, the Scala era makes the most sense to me. Even though I don't think that was Luxord in the trailer, it's very possible we see him from the Scala era. And I'm starting to believe that what we're going to see in Missing Link is the characters are going to find a way to transport themselves to Quadratum. Through there. Let's see. I would love a Laurium Sterlitzia reunion. Me too. It would be very touching. It would be very touching. Umber says, what do you think about the FF characters of Quadratum? We covered that in the beginning of the podcast, but I think it's very possible. I'll just leave it at that. I think Final Fantasy characters in the Square world, very possible. How probable? I'll say 50-50. Let's see, what else we got here? Heck, might even crack a joke where Sora goes, hey Leon, and Real Squall's like, who? Yeah, you never know. Because it would be a different version of them, right? It would be a different version of them, technically. But, yeah, we don't know where Laurium and Elrena... Wait, keep reading. Let me see. Is it possible that Final Fantasy characters in Quadratum are the original Final Fantasy characters, as in the one from the video games, and not the Disney-fied? That would be cool. That would be a cool little sort of overlap between the two. Oh, yeah, I feel like I kind of skimmed it before. But Gilgamesh has to be in Quadratum. I love that. More Final Fantasy. Bahamut, too. Bahamut. I feel like from the whole Yozora trailer, we can expect Bahamut, but Gilgamesh would be awesome, too. But yeah, I know I keep circling it, but where did Laurium and Elrena recomplete? And when you do recomplete, do you technically die? Do you have to go to Quadratum before you come back? I don't know. Give Gilgamesh 6 Keyblades. Oh yeah, make him the fucking General Grievous of the game. I'd be about that. I think ultimately that's what you're going to see from Quadratum, is you're going to see a lot of Square Enix influence. So I think if you're looking for secret bosses like Sephiroth or Gilgamesh or Bahamut, I think it's very possible that you see them in Quadratum. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, the possibilities are kind of endless with who could be in Quadratum with all the characters that have died. Because again, we're yet to see exactly how recompletion works for a lot of people. We saw how it worked for Ienzo. We saw it work for Vexen. But who knows, for all you know, the Ansems and Xemnases could be there as well. Ven would love to talk to Laurium, especially now that he has Chirithy now. I mean, that's gonna be an interesting... What's gonna happen when Laurium relearns that Ven killed his sister? What happens when he relearns that? Fake Carly says, I need more Elrena / Larxene. Yeah, listen. The Lodge has been a huge advocate for more Larxene and Elrena in Kingdom Hearts. And we have made it very clear. And Faye, you and your community are welcome to join us. But if Elrena loses Larxene's sass, we riot. We go to Osaka, we go outside the building, we hold signs, and we riot. If Elrena loses Larxene's sass, I will be very, very upset. DJ Ghoul says, the old organization already recompleted once. It was explained they show up where they became a heartless and nobody. So, I guess the question then becomes, where did Elrena and Laurium become a heartless and nobody? We don't really ever get into that. We see where they're transported to, they're transported to Disney Worlds, right? But where do they get struck down? When he gets reminded. Oh yeah, I see what you did there. I think Laurium and Ven will still be on good terms. I think so too, but I'd like to see him crack a few jokes at it. Kind of hey listen bro, you owe me. You owe me, baby. Let's see here. She would have a similar sass to Yuffie in Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I think that's part of what makes Yuffie, so lovable. Let's see. Umbra says, oh gosh, Lich has the same yellow and pink in Ava's outfit. Interesting. Okay, hold on. Let me pull this up. Let me pull this up for everybody. Let's pull this up. Let's see here. Let's do a display capture. Yeah, check this out, guys. So we were talking earlier about the possibility of Ava being the Lich. And like, if you look at this, I do see the overlap between the Lich and Ava's outfit. Like, you can see the pink, the heart. I wonder if any of these symbols could be a symbol for greed or something, right? Also has yellow eyes on her fox mask. Ooh. See, are there any fox motifs? I'll tell you, you have me so... I mean, here's a sort of mane, right? But I don't know if like foxes don't really have like a mane. If we find a fox motif somewhere here, you'll have me completely sold. Completely sold. J-Lo Beans! Microphone is a bit low. We will turn it up, baby. We will turn it up. We will turn it up for you. Ava also had yellow eyes on her fox mask. The same chains as the blue chains that dangle on her outfit. Okay, hold on. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hop back and forth. We're gonna hop back and forth here. Okay. Oh, okay, wait a minute. I see what you're saying. That staff's heart looks like the shape of a fox's head. Maybe. I'm looking at it now. But I see what they're saying about the chains and like what's dangling. I want to wait till we get a closer shot. And no, thank you, Overfoolish. Thank you, sir. The staff's heart look... Okay, well, we'll check that in a second. Dude, Etro is the goddess of death in the Fabula Nova lore. What if Ava has her role in Kingdom Hearts? Maybe. But let's go back to this here. This is interesting. Now, you sent me a picture to combine it with Ava, so let's check it out. So there's Ava. Here's what I'll do. Let's get this over here. Let's get Ava formatted for this. Let's try and slide... Oh, no. I'm trying to slide her in for a side-by-side. Let's try it this way. And yes, that is my wallpaper. It's the Cloud Kingdom Hearts thing, because I'm a weeb. But anyway. Oh, no, we had it. Here they are. Here's the two of them. Let's connect them here. I can kind of see with these chains, you see these? These kind of match. Whoa! Lich has a mustache. Yeah, this is what's throwing me off, is this sort of like beard/lion's mane here. Is kind of throwing me off a little bit. But look at those chains! That kind of does match up. The color scheme is there. I wish these were the same color as this, then I'd be a little bit more convinced. And I do see that maybe this could look like a fox mask, but I'm not completely sold. It does remind me of fox fur, to be honest. It looks a little bit more like wolf fur to me. I mean, they're both canines, so I might be being a bit of a stickler here when it comes to that. But yeah, I mean, look, things like that are possible. Very possible, even. I don't know. Ava's character is still a huge mystery, and she's gonna play a big role. More like the fur of a fox. I guess I see... Ooh... Okay, I might have to pull this back up now. Oh, that went backwards. Okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, wait! Whiskers! Maybe that's not a stash. Maybe those are whiskers. Can we zoom in? Yeah, those could be like fox whiskers. Okay. Umbra comes back with the heart on her Keyblade teeth matches the heart of the Lich's staff. Okay. Try and convince me here. Let's bring this over here. Okay, what are you saying? The heart on her Keyblade teeth. Oh, look! Oh, ho, 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 ho. Now that is cool. Yo, I mean, there might be a lot more to this than we thought. Holy crap, Noct. Look at this. Yeah, there's the yellow eyes. We got some whiskers for Fox Whiskers. Oh wow, I did not know there was a gazing eye on her Keyblade. I think I completely missed that. But anyway, yeah, the ends of the staff and the teeth of the Keyblade do look pretty familiar. The chains match. These sort of like chains that dangle with the triangles match. The color scheme matches. We have like a little fox's mane. Oh man, there's more to it than we thought. I love it. I love it, Noctflugel. Would you mind if, let me see this 1 second. Let me see this 1 second. Umbra. This is impressive. This is impressive, Umbra. I love it. Would you mind if I clip this and made it a video? Because this is incredible. Lich does have the canine fangs too. Really? Okay, let's pull it back up. The canine fangs. The Lich? I guess I don't know where I'm seeing teeth. Yeah, I'm not really seeing any teeth. But impressive, is it not? Maybe her heart is trapped in the Lich in the same way that Terra was in Guardian. Yes! Sorry, the nails. Yes, yeah, it definitely has claws. It definitely has, like, canine claws. But yes! Yes, Umbra, would you mind if I cut and kind of clip this into a video? Because I think this is cool. You would definitely get the credit, but you just let me know. Queen of Nobody says, Master Ava? Yeah. That's kind of what this has evolved to. You know, we started this talking about Quadratum and who good candidates for Quadratum were, and now we've reached a point where we think Ava's the freaking Lich. I don't know who started the theory at first, but sure. Okay, I'll dig deep. I'll see if anyone's made a video on it. But if someone's made a video on it, then I'm not going to make a video on it. But that is a really cool theory. That is a really, really cool theory. The more evidence is about Ava, the more crack the code. Yeah, the more we crack the code. It's, very peculiar stuff. Again, I'm gonna pull this back up. Let's pull this back up. Boom, boom. And you know what? While we're at it, because you know what? And that might be new for the podcast. If somebody has made a theory video on it, maybe we'll watch it. We'll watch it live on the podcast. Alright, let's check this out. Ava is the Lich, Kingdom Hearts 3. Let's see if we can find anything here. Okay, I see some vague title, so I'll have to check it out. Nothing is outright saying it in its title, but I'll do a little research. I'll see if this is something that's been talked about. But if not, this is something cool, man. I don't know. I wonder what's going to happen if we play Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. I'm going to be all over that game, man. Like butter on bread, baby. I'm going to be all over that game. You guys are welcome to come play. I know it's going to be like parties of 6, which I think is cool. Queen of Nobody says, oh wait, I already read that. Oy. See, in Kingdom Hearts 3, even Ava became a goth waifu. Oh boy. I don't know, man. I think Ava's a little young to be a waifu. But at this point, what is she, like 1,000 years old? Who fucking knows how any of that works? But anyway, I think there's a lot to this, because even brought up earlier, those are like sort of like canine/fox claws that we're looking at right here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else we can make out of it. But there are a lot of cool things here. There's a lot to line up. Can I zoom in on Ava's Keyblade? Let's take a look at her Keyblade a little closer. Right? See, look, here's that little foxy mane, that little swoop. There's the swoop. There's that swoop. Oh, look at the marking on the head! Oh, I gotta really zoom in on that. I wish it was clearer. But look at this, like, sort of diamond-looking thing on the head. That's kind of there. It's a bit of a stretch. And young Xehanort knew about the Lich too. He knew its role, perhaps her role. And this matches with what we were talking about earlier. Her role was to gather the strongest hearts. The Guardians of Light? What stronger hearts could you guide, or recruit? Ava's Keyblade has a wave/water aesthetic, and we know water is associated with darkness. DJ Ghoul, right on it. Had spent some money on Union Cross and Dark Road, still on the fence whether I will for Missing Link. See, I couldn't get through Union Cross or Dark Road because I don't know, man. Like, gameplay, if I'm gonna play a mobile game, the gameplay's gotta be more than this. I gotta be doing more than this. I can't just... I'm gonna lose my mind if you got me doing just that. The Landing Lodge is running to deep dive into Ava. Yeah, we most certainly are. I bet if you go to the Hikari building in Missing Link, you would get a secret message from Master of Masters. That could be a cool little tidbit. But this is interesting. This sort of like forehead thing it's got going on here and how it sort of matches that. Let's see what else we're working with. So we have this sort of swoop. The staff I'm not a huge fan of. Any sort of X's on the outfit that could sort of match up with this? I don't think so. It's interesting how her Keyblade has like blue eyes, but her mask has yellow eyes. Interesting. But no, they've got me at the color scheme. They've got me at her role. You've got me at these chains, which match up. You've got me at the fox features. You've got me at the teeth of her Keyblade, matching the head of this staff. I don't know. The traitor is the one who bears the sigil, right? Yeah, I think that's more. I think they all like bear. I don't know. It's so vague. I feel like it was just meant to throw everybody off. But Lushu kind of bears the sigil in his name. So let's back this up for a more full scope again. Yeah. I don't know. This kind of blew my mind today. Ava and the Lich. I'll keep looking. Actually, let me see this real quick. Oh! Okay, check this. See how she's got, like, no, never mind. I was gonna say she's got 1, 2, 3, like, hanging off the sort of collar sleeve. I was gonna match that with this, but this has 5. So that's a bit of a stretch. Okay. I think we've milked those images for all they have to offer us. But, that's, some interesting stuff, man. I feel her role in Kingdom Hearts 3 was to lure oh, yeah, I kinda like this. Because I feel like thematically, San Francisco was supposed to be like a thematic allusion to Quadratum. So the idea that the Lich would sort of take us through to San Francisco, and that's where young Xehanort would encounter us in this sort of like Quadratum overlap world. The idea that she's sort of leading him to Quadratum where she needs him to go, that could work too. That could really work too. Iron Line says there are a lot of parallels between these two. It's staggering how many things you can warp from one to make another. Yeah, no, it is staggering. The more you kind of look at it, the more it sort of lines up. But it sort of makes sense too, because again, if the plan is to get Sora to Quadratum, it kind of does work as a setup. What else was I going to bring up? I brought up the B-roll for a reason. But I think that's all I've got for Ava right now. But she's got to be my favorite mystery left in the series right now. She's got to be my favorite in the series. Favorite mystery in the series that's left. Queen of Nobody says, I wonder if Kingdom Hearts 4 we get more Final Fantasy characters. So we did go over that a little bit earlier in the podcast. I think it's incredibly possible that we get more Final Fantasy characters. I think the world being a sort of tribute to Square definitely helps that case. However, it's going to sort of remain to be seen when it comes to that. Ava may not be a good person. That's why if she's the Lich Xehanort warned Sora not to follow. Yeah, that's the thing. Young Xehanort, and this is my thing with him, why I think it's so possible we'll see him. Young Xehanort, guys, wasn't it interesting that he sort of knew more about what Sora had in store than even Old Man Xehanort did? Like, young Xehanort was the one who was like, hey, the Lich is doing this. Hey, you're breaking a nature taboo. Hey, there's no saving you. Hey, your time in this world is up. You know, he kind of keeps piling it on to Sora like, hey man, I know exactly what's gonna happen to you. I know exactly where you're gonna go. So, you know, it's just another one of those reasons why I have to believe that we are gonna see young Xehanort again. He seems to always in some way be connected to Quadratum, and we learned in Melody of Memory through Yen Sid that Xehanort knew about the world of fiction. He knew about Quadratum from the time he was apprentice Xehanort. You know? It's kind of nuts. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like he's from a different timeline. Yeah, I have to wonder if it's like a different world line. You know what I mean? Like, is it playing with that term world line? I wonder if that's where it comes from. Do you think we get our Cloud and Sephiroth rematch? I think it's a certainty. I think the Cloud Sephiroth rematch is a certainty. I think they heard the fans. I think they know that we want it back. How likely we are to get it back. I'd put the odds in our favor. I would definitely put the odds in our favor for that. DJ Ghoul, Sage of the Lodge, says young Xehanort gains knowledge whilst time traveling and lost his memories when returning to his own time. Interesting. Nox Lugel says he knew what happens to abuse the power of waking, so did Mickey, so did Chirithy. Yeah, you know, this is what I'm saying, there's so many characters in Kingdom Hearts who know so much more than they let on. Whether it be Mickey, Chirithy, young Xehanort. That's the thing, in Kingdom Hearts 3, he has his memories back. It's strange. Yeah, it's almost like something a little strange is going on. I'm wondering if there's gonna be somebody in Quadratum that's gonna allow young Xehanort to sort of warp himself there through either by way of body hopping or time travel. Because every world runs on a different time axis, right? What if Quadratum is technically in the past? What if Quadratum is technically in the future? You know? They made sure in Kingdom Hearts 3 to talk about a lot of things like the world order and like things being on different time axes. So it's like, you'd have to imagine it's the same thing for Quadratum, right? You would have to imagine. Just the Waffle says, so much stuff, so many things to put all the pieces together. I mean, Kingdom Hearts, I've always said Kingdom Hearts is like a big puzzle, and it's a giant million-person group project to put the whole puzzle together. I mean, that's what we're doing here, right? Hey, Queen of Nobodies, thank you for subscribing on YouTube. We appreciate that. But like, I feel like Kingdom Hearts is like this, it's this big, like, group puzzle, and we all gotta like talk and work together to piece it into one thing. Solar Moon Clips says, Lady Lodge sent you something on your Wayfinder Homeland server in general you need to see. Let me check this out. Let's check this out. I need to see it. Let's check it out. Let's check this out. Okay. What's going on here? Oh wait, in the Wayfinder general? Oh. Let's check that out. Did you just drop it? Oh, baby, we're back in business. Okay. We're back in business. We are back. Oh, I got it backwards again. We are back in business with the Ava is the Lich. Okay. We got hooked up by Solar Moon Clips. Was that it? Was that who you were? Solar Moon Clips? Alright, Solar Moon Clips just hooked it up. So check it out. Wait, they threw it in my server. Yeah, Josh, I think maybe they think we share a server or something, but Wayfinders is Jashish's server. My server is very, 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 very quiet. Let me pull this up. So, Solar Moon Clips seems to have pulled out Ava's figure here. If we look on the sleeve, she has 5 jewels on the... Oh wait, is it 5 or is it 4? Let's zoom in. Ooh, I see 4. So I was going to line up the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I missing a fifth somewhere? Burn the homeland. Because that's one thing I was going to line up is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I'm only seeing 4. But I don't know. Q X-Files theme. Yeah, right? That's basically what we're doing here. But going back to the Xehanort thing, here, while I wait for some people maybe to reply on that, let's go back to the Xehanort B-roll. But I feel young Xehanort in Kingdom Hearts 3 is from a different timeline where he met Master of Masters, and maybe the guy in the coat was not himself, but maybe Master of Masters guiding him instead. Ooh, okay. DJ Ghoul says, just in terms of why Master Xehanort forgot the things young Xehanort knew, I would be happy to see young Xehanort come back. Me too. I'd be happy to see this young Xehanort make a comeback. The one who's kind of clued in. Maybe it's behind her, hiding behind the sleeve. Yeah, I get, like, proportionately, it kind of makes sense that it could be behind, but I can't, I'm not gonna call it evidence unless I could actually see it. Unless I could actually see it, I'm reluctant to call it evidence. But we can see that there's at least 4. We can see that there's at least 4. There's something different about Xehanort in Kingdom Hearts 3, though, and Dark Road hints at it to a new timeline. I almost don't know, I don't know if it's going to be a different timeline, guys, because Kingdom Hearts has always been on one timeline. The whole story, for all of its convolutedness, for all of the complexity, quote-unquote, it's always been running on one timeline. I don't think that changes. I think things like different world lines, which is like the idea of every world is on a different time axis. Like maybe young Xehanort can be in Quadratum because, well, I mean, A, he could be dead, or B, it could be from a time in which he has access to. You know? That's at least how I see it. That is at least how I see it. But, I mean, getting back at least to the Ava and the Lich thing, I do think there's possibly something to this. I'll try. I'm gonna double check, make sure nobody else has done it. I have Ava's 3D model. I'll check. Yeah, rotate her around and check. But I'll definitely put something together about this theory, because this is really, really cool. Like, this is really cool. I wonder what Master of Master's face looks like without the organization hoodie. I'm excited for that reveal. That'll be a fun reveal one day. But yeah, Umbra, if you could check Ava's model and see if we got 5 on the sleeve, you might have me convinced. You might. CK Gaming Channel, always dropping in here, dude. Thank you. It says, all the worlds are separate. The world was once whole during Daybreak Town era. In the end, I think all the worlds will be in one game. Wow. That would be intense. Or imagine they were all part of, like, one landscape. Like, imagine you can get from, like, Mulan to Pirates of the Caribbean on foot. Like, that'd be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. Man, guys, you see this? I need a haircut, guys. I'm getting a haircut this weekend, but look at this thing. Look at it. Gotta chop all this off. Solar Moon Clip says, sent you something else. Let's see. Look at the back of Gula. Okay, we're in business again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna blow this one up to kind of take up the whole screen. Let's pull this up. If we look at Gula, check it out. Let's zoom in a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They do run along the back. They do run along the back. Taking good boy for a walk. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Thank you so much. We'll be wrapping up soon. But, yeah, it looks like it continues to the back, right? Look. 1, 2, 3. And there's the one on the side. So here's 3, 4, 5, and the same vice versa on the other side. Just checked back cover. There is another on Ava. Okay. Let's pull this up. There it is. It adds up to 5. Look how skinny Xigbar is. Yeah, they gotta put some meat on his bones, man. He needs to do some pull-ups. But check it out. That is cool. CK Gaming Channel, dude, thank you for subscribing on YouTube, man. Very, very, very much appreciated. Super appreciated, even. But yeah, that's interesting. Ava as the Lich, in the way that Terra was like Ansem's guardian. I think that could work. I think that would make a great reveal. I think people will go nuts. I think people will go nuts for that kind of thing. Skin bar. Yeah, legit. Twig bar. That's it. It's twig bar. Skinny has a freaking twig, baby. Alright. We are, ladies and gentlemen, coming up on time a little bit. We got a few minutes left here. Does anybody have further questions, ideas? Are there any candidates for Quadratum that we didn't talk about today? That's what I want to know. Hey, Ironline, thank you for that YouTube sub, man. I appreciate it. Very much so. Appreciate you guys, coming around, hanging around. We'll do our thing. Alright. Let's see here. Do you ever think we will ever get to see the faces of the Lost Masters and the Mastered Masters? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think they're hiding those faces for a reason, because they're making it up to be a really, really solid reveal that I think will be a lot of fun. CK Gaming says, when Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out, I think it would be best not to spoil ourselves by watching updates of the game. When Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out? Well, yeah, I would finish first. Love throwing out the theories and being here with all of you. Likewise. Likewise. This is a lot of fun, especially for me, so I appreciate all you guys who show up for these things. Like, seriously, it means a lot to me. DJ Cool says, new candidate, Fairy Godmother. Man, and we talk about it all the time, but Yensid, Fairy Godmother, and Merlin, they ain't telling us the truth. They know some shit that they haven't let us in on. Ironline says, I thought I was, but I guess not. Yeah, YouTube does that thing where it unsubscribes people. I don't know why, but it seems like every channel has this problem where it randomly unsubscribes people. So just make sure you check every once in a while to make sure you are. Justin Waffle says, yes, question. Do you want to cut my... Oh, you think I'm going to turn into Xehanort with my haircut? Hey, Relentless Penumbra. Thank you so much for that follow, for the subscription on YouTube. Thanks so much. I appreciate that, guys. Yeah, no, we're not going Xehanort bald. Landy's not getting Norted. We're not going to do the Landy gets Norted arc. Not yet. We're going to save that for Get Norted November. You're all invited to Get Norted November. That's where we try to justify all of Xehanort's actions. Cloud vs. Sephiroth, are we going to get a rematch? Yeah, we're getting that rematch, baby. Yeah, rematch. Umber says, imagine if we see a form of the Lich in Kingdom Hearts 4 that looks like this level of wild. Oh, man. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. Let me pull this up for everybody. Something like that, but with like Ava in the center? Get out of here. Get out of here. That'd be nuts. That would be nuts. Brain? I don't know if you're asking a question about Brain or... But Brain's gonna be interesting too, because Brain's gonna be a big part of Missing Link. You know? Brain's gonna be a huge part of Missing Link. At least it looks that way. We don't know yet. The Dream Drop Distance Ansem fight was a trip. It was. It's actually one of my favorite boss fights in the entire series. But hey, yeah, I really appreciate all of you who came out today. Brain as a candidate. Oh, Brain is a candidate for Quadratum. Ooh! Yeah. I think it's very possible. I think Brain is a great candidate for Quadratum. Especially because I think that era of Scala that we're going to see in Missing Link, I feel like that era of Scala is going to connect to Quadratum in some way, hence the Missing Link title. What about Kingdom Hearts 4? Who knows, maybe Ava will become a boat. Oh my god. I don't even know what that means. Pretty much, but don't do it, you're fine, man. Just gonna make it a pun-like joke, just let you know. But hey, that hairstyle, anything can happen for what you desire. Yeah, I got a lot of hair. It's very thick, which means there's very limited ways I can grow it. The Lich theory reminds me of the Strelitzia theory where she was connected to Marluxia. Yeah, where she's like that sort of heartless demon that Marluxia fights with in the final boss of Chain of Memories. Yeah, see, they've done stuff like this before where like the characters sort of like warp into these sort of like demons. Kingdom Hearts 1 Anson's final form, he becomes a giant. Oh, that's right, that's right. Believe in Ava boat supremacy. I do. I am a devout believer in Ava boat supremacy. People who donate monthly are no longer sages of the lodge. They are now Ava boat attendees. I don't know. I'm just rolling with it. But anyway, listen, we're gonna start wrapping it up here. If you're on Twitch, I encourage you to stick around for the raid. We're gonna be raiding Big Pika TV, who's making his debut as we speak on Twitch. So if you're on Twitch, please stick around. If you're on YouTube and not following me on Twitch yet, it's also a great platform to follow me on. I got links in the descriptions for all that. But I really appreciate all of you who came out to hang out, talk these theories, kind of see who our candidates for Quadratum. This whole Ava Lich thing is cool. I'll see if I'll make a video on it soon. Hey yo, fellow Ava boat attendees. Oh man. But anyways, this is a great podcast. Great work as always, my guy. Umbra, dude, thanks for providing those images, man. Like, you're really coming through on these podcasts, providing those links. I very much appreciate that, dude. Feel free to message me on Twitter, when you get a chance. Why Ventus can't remember Union Cross. I think Chirithy and Namine are gonna kind of work together on that and get him to remember. Jan says, I had so much fun. Thanks for the shout outs. Of course, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out and stuff. This is, again, it's as cool as it gets. They're bringing raids to YouTube eventually. I haven't been selected for them yet, but they will be. I appreciate all of you for hanging out during those little audio difficulties and everybody who came in told me to turn up the mic and stuff. I appreciate it very much so, but we're going to wrap it up there. Let's begin this raid. Thanks for hanging out. Where is he? Big Pika. Big Pika's playing Mario Party. Alright, everybody, all aboard on Twitch. We're raiding Big Pika. Thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. We'll be back at it again Saturday morning with some Pokemon Nuzlocke. I've got a bunch of new theories that are dropping on the channel, including this Ava Lich thing. But again, thanks so much for hanging out. We're bouncing out of here. You all stay classy. Be good to yourselves and each other. And I'll see all of you sickos and normies next time.